going. First of all, welcome everybody to this training session. And we would like to thank you for being clients for over the many years. And as you know, we have 5 versions of the payroll which we developed over the years. So today we're going to do the demo on the latest iteration, the xPay. The X is no association with Elon Musk. It stands for cross-platform, meaning you can run your payroll on any device, even a cell phone or a Mac. It doesn't matter. But you can rest assured that the same principles apply to the previous versions of the payroll. It's got the same underlying principles. Okay, so without further ado, let's look at the exercise we're going to do today. We will load an employee, just a basic employee with a salary of 20,000, employ him from October, do a few runs, show you some things on the leave, and then we will do the resignation process end of Jan, and then we will go through these 8 easy steps to formally close off the employee. Okay, just a few admin arrangements. You are welcome to ask queries at any stage. You can just turn on your mic and just draw my attention. I will try to deal with the queries as we go along. Maybe some of them we will reserve for at the end. I think it's important just to get through this exercise at least, because resignations is always a tricky story. Okay, and then we will be recording this and make a transcript available in due course. Okay, without further ado, let's log on to the payroll. A new pro, it's a brand company, and we're on the main menu. Okay, let's add the employee. Okay, so you'll see these fields are the same ones you have on the previous system or the older versions, just rearranged in the browser interface. Okay, so we say employed from the 15th. Mr. The monthly like the fields are required. It's a person, that a type. Okay, ask for the job title. We can use the organogram. Okay, we pay monthly, and let's keep it simple. It's don't pay per hour. It's just a basic salary of 20,000. Okay, and the rest of information is not critical to have at this stage. Okay, let's see. Okay, now it takes you to the tax period screen. So typically from the 15th of end of Feb, and the first place what you say is 20th October. So let's do this calculation. Purely on days, it will be 4.5 months. It will be 5 pay slips, but I mean the first pay slip won't be for the full amount. And if you calculate the portion within working days or calendar days, you could be very precise. But let's for our exercise use the 4.5 months. Now this function is in xPay, where you can verify to make sure that when the first pay run is done, the year to date will be correct. In general, whenever you have a new employee, on the first pay run, make sure the year to date is what you expect, either one or a portion of a month, like in this case. Okay, let us accept this tax period. Okay, now the tax period is in, and our date of next transaction is 25 October. Just make sure. Okay. We have to set up the base package, and our base salary 20,000. Cash value normally always the same, and get default RP, taxable and RP5 codes, and we go, okay. All right, that employee is basically set up. Let's make let's do the first pay run. So xPay will go to the main menu, batch jobs, and we'll go generate payslips. And this one is 25 October. Just in general, a nice tip on dates is you can type in the day, a month. If you tab, it will assume the current year. Okay. Or otherwise, select it from the calendar year. Okay, so we go to proceed, and you've got monthly mic, so on our list is scheduled, let's generate. Okay, so when you generate, it copies the information of the base package as default values for a new payslip. But in the case of monthly people, it will do this pro rata automatically. So if you look at the payslip, just go to the screen where you can get the list of payslips.
Sorry, Oom.
Yes.
There's a question. I just want to ask, if you have a question, just turn on your mic and interrupt, and then we'll help you.
Yeah. So anybody, please feel free to have a query. Yeah, just open your mic. Okay. All right. So see on this payslip, it was the 10,000. Okay, let's be happy with that, and we can calc and see. Average formulas, and there's the final result. So on your first payslips for new employees, always make sure that you have this average as the 1 or the 0.5. So the next payslip should be a 1.5 now. Okay. See, let's set up leave cycles. So per employee, when you engage them, you have to set up the leave cycles, and thereafter you have an automatic rollover at the beginning of every calendar year in January, and that is if you set up your cycles to run from date of employment till end of December, and then you only have to roll over cycles once a year. Okay, so let's go to this person's leave record. We will add the cycle. Annual leave, 16th October, and this will go to end of December. No days brought forward. This is a new employee, and let's do this calculation. So 78 over 365, that's from 10 October. That ratio times 15, so only 3.2 days from October till the end of December. Okay. A sick leave will go from when you started. 3 years, so that will be 1 year, 2 years, 3 years. That's correct. 1, 2, yes. Okay, and it will also be 30 days. That's just a standard for sick leave. Okay, then your leave cycles are set up. So if you look at end of December as the calculation date, that is what we expect now. 3 days, 3.2 as at the end of December, and you have your 3 days leave available. Okay, let's generate payslips for November and December. Then I'll show you how to set up the new leave cycles, and then we can move on to this resignation process. I'm just going to quickly do November and December. Right. Yeah, just the payslips. I mean, you can add bonuses and commissions, whatever, as on the old system. You can modify the payslip. Okay, but for our purpose, let's just calc and seal. Right, 1.5. Let's do December. Okay. Yes. Okay, 2.5. Show you what we have here. Format of the payslip. Okay, so this logic is the same on all the systems. The way the tax is calculated, all of that is the same. Right, let's do the new leave cycles. Okay, we typically do that at the beginning of the year. Obviously, you have to make sure that all the leave records have been captured, so that you have correct open balances going forward. So, okay, so this is under best jobs. Rollover leave cycles. So specify start date of new cycle. So this will be 1st of Jan 2026. Okay, see, there's a list of people who've got cycles, and you can just say proceed, and there's the result. Let me just show you on the employees recording. Now look at 26. You see there's a sick leave cycle which is still active, and there's the new one, the brought forward. See there's a previous one, it was closed, and that 3.2 became the brought forward for that site. Okay, so let's start with this tricky one. Now the principle is work on the average formulas as normal, right till the end. And then if you have a severance payout, there's an extra step where you basically have to overwrite the tax if you have a severance payout, with a directive. And then after all of that, there would be final steps to shorten the tax period, because that tax period becomes the IP5 information. And we have this final recon just to make sure that your tax is squared up. But I mean, if you use the average formulas, it should always be the case. Unless there is a severance payout, then it will look like there's a under taxation. But that will be the case for when you have severance payouts. Then we have to end the engagement record to open the post, and the final step is change UIF status. Okay, so just to recap, the main thing is work on average formulas, and only at the end you need to perform these final steps. Okay, typically, so you would generate your pay run as normal and do a leave calculation to see what the leave encashment is. Okay, so that's the case now for our example here. So let's first do the leave calc. So you go on a leave record, and you would have your cut-off date when the employee leaves, 31 of January. Okay, let's go refresh. Okay, so by the end of Jan, the employee will have 4.45 days. And let's say he didn't take leave, so there can be an encashment for those days left. And to generate or to close off the leave cycles and generate an entry to indicate the days that's available, you just click on any of the cycles and you go close off the resign. Okay, you are about to close off your cycles for that date. Open cycles will be shortened and additional approval will be further on. If there's a balance left, an entry will be locked to that value to make the balance zero. Okay, let's proceed. Okay, so that is closed off. So look at this now. You can see we don't have days left on our current cycle there. Right, if you go print, that's where you can actually see the calculation. So it's for that date, for those cycles, leave, liability section, yes. see. Okay, so there's the auto close entry, 4.45 days, and based on the base package, that's the annual equivalent divided by the 260 working days. That's your effective rate times the number of days, and there is your amount. That's due for the leave encashment, 4107.69. Okay, so so now let's start with this. We're just going to generate as normal. Okay, and then on the payslip, you will add the. Sorry, was there a query? Okay. Let's go into the payslip, and we will add the leave encashment. 4174.69. Okay. Okay, let's say those are we don't need any other transactions. I mean, you also have to consider maybe you had staff loans and you may have to increase the final deduction or whatever. But let's say these are all the final transactions except for the directive. As you'll see, you need to calculate on average formulas, but without the directive. So you can see what the tax should be excluding the severance amount. So we'll do that. Let's calculate on the formulas, average formulas. Okay, so you see the tax on the normal income or the non-severance income is 3251. Now, as per the directive, they say, okay, you apply for 100,000 severance payout, and SARS said, okay, as per the directive, you have to withhold 10,000 of that amount. That means you have to override the tax to the normal plus the 10,000. Okay, so you have to make a note of this amount, but now we have to unseal it now, because we have to add 100,000 onto the payslip and override the tax. Unseal this payslip. Okay, and then you'll go to earning. We'll add the severance payout. Taxable 3901 and add it onto the payslip. Now, on the summary of the payslip, you have to indicate that you're going to override the tax and you're going to add the 10,000. And I think it's wise to internal notes just stick here tax on non-severance income. That's 10,000. That's good. Okay. When you override tax, after it will revert back to automatic calculation. Okay, but I mean the invoice going, this is his last payslip, so you can just ignore that. Okay, so let's calc and seal, but we're overriding the tax, so tax for that payslip will be 13,000. Okay. All right, so we've done that. Now we have to just finish the last steps. Okay, you have to shorten the tax period and load the tax directive details, namely the date it was issued and the directive number. So for that, you would go onto the tax period of the employee. So tax periods, and let's edit. Okay. So period employed 2, that is now end of Jan. There is no date of next transaction. You blank that out. And it will now be 3.5. Okay. At this point, you can also put in the number of periods worked, and that's normally the same as the length. Okay. Now, important, the directive numbers you put on this screen doesn't apply to the lump sum payouts. This applies to when you have a directive that's like a fixed percentage for the whole tax period. So you won't put your lump sum directives in this field. I will show you where you do that in a moment. But on this screen, you've got the specific field for that amount that starts prescribed. Okay. So we've shortened the tax period, divided that for 115 code. So on this tax period, you've got the lump sum directives. And you need to add an entry on whatever that was. Say it was the 5th of January, 3901, and 100,000. You have to indicate for the purpose of the IP5s, you'll say it's NFID, because you designed after August. And if employee designed before August, that will be the option, so that the lump sum can be included in both the biannual and the NFID submission. But in this case, the NFID is our option here, and that is it. Okay, so we've completed that step. Then this final recon calc and sealing the tax period. Right. So for that, we'll go to dash jobs. Under RP, tax periods transactions. Okay, for 2026, we've done list of tax periods. So you can see it's not being sealed. So let's proceed with this tax period. We do the final calc. On that previous screen, when we indicated the number of periods worked, it was 3.5. But typically, when you have many employees at the end of Feb, you can do this one to just indicate, to just set that value for all the employees. But it has already been set for this employee. So he's basically prepared for the final calc. And let's do the final calc and seal. Okay, and it has been sealed. Now, it will look like an under, but that is because of the directive. Now, if you don't have directives, you should never have overs or unders, because the average formulas are essentially the same as this final recon. And if you have an over or under, then it's better to investigate and see what you missed. But in this case, we expect this because of the directive.
Sorry, Gustav?
Yeah.
There are some questions. I don't know. There's people putting their hands up. So just put on your mic if you have a question you can ask.
Yeah, apologies. I'm doing the wide screen, but I'm almost done. So I'll invite queries in a moment if you don't mind. Okay.
Okay.
So we're under. Okay, but we expect that. Then the final 2 steps would be to end the engagement so that the post becomes available. So that is on the employee's record, engagement record, edit 1 and this information. Then the post becomes available and the employee is no longer on your active list of employees. And then the final step is to change the UIX status of the employee. And bear in mind, if maybe you pick up a mistake and you want to unseal and redo, then don't forget to set back the UIX status. Okay, in this case, let's say resigned, and I would also ask for a reason for no more income. You can just say no more income for the period. And then this employee is signed off or closed off.